The right to remain silent exists because talking to police rarely improves your situation. These people skipped that advice entirely and said things so spectacularly stupid, they made their own arrests easier than anyone thought possible. 1. A driver told the officer, "I only had 6 beers, officer. I'm totally fine to drive." He failed the sobriety test immediately after making this confident claim. He then argued the breathalyzer must be broken or calibrated incorrectly. He was arrested for DUI and his own admission was used against him in court. His lawyer was absolutely furious he'd admitted to drinking and driving. The 6-beer confession sealed his conviction without any defense possible. In court, the prosecutor simply played the recording of his admission. His blood alcohol was twice the legal limit, confirming the 6 beers plus more. 2. A woman caught shoplifting told the officer, "Everyone does it, why am I being singled out?" The officer explained that stealing is illegal regardless of what other people do. She demanded to see statistics on shoplifting arrests to prove discrimination against her. Her argument about everyone stealing didn't help her case at all. She was arrested and prosecuted for theft with video evidence. She genuinely believed that common crimes shouldn't be prosecuted. Her defense attorney couldn't work with the "everyone does it" argument. The store pressed full charges after her offensive attitude. 3. A man pulled over for speeding said, "I wasn't going that fast. Your radar gun is wrong." The officer showed him the calibration certificate from that morning, proving accuracy. He then claimed all radar technology is fundamentally unreliable and unscientific. He argued about physics and electromagnetic waves with the officer for 10 minutes. His speeding ticket included an attitude surcharge for the extended delay. His argument about radar technology was played in court to laughter. The judge noted his physics degree from Google University wasn't impressive. His fine was increased for wasting the court's time with nonsense. 4. A driver during a traffic stop said, "Do you know who my father is?" The officer replied, "No, do you?" with perfect comedic timing. The driver spent 5 minutes explaining his father's minor local political position. The officer wrote the ticket anyway without any special consideration. The attempted influence made the situation worse and more embarrassing. The father later apologized to the police department for his son's behavior. The son was grounded despite being 32 years old. His father confirmed he had no influence over traffic enforcement anyway. 5. A woman caught with drugs said, "These aren't my pants." The officer asked whose pants she was wearing then and why. She couldn't explain how she was wearing someone else's pants or where her pants went. The ridiculous excuse became evidence of consciousness of guilt in court. She was arrested and the "not my pants" quote was used repeatedly by prosecutors. Her lawyer asked her to please never speak again during proceedings. The pants were tested and confirmed to be her size. Her own mother testified that she'd bought her those exact pants. 6. A man told the officer, "I didn't know I couldn't do that." The officer explained ignorance of the law isn't a legal defense. He argued he should get a warning for first time not knowing about laws. The officer explained that's not how the legal system works at all. His excuse didn't prevent the arrest or prosecution. In court, he tried the same excuse with the judge. The judge explained that ignorance is never a valid legal defense. He was convicted and given extra community service for wasting time. His "I didn't know" excuse became an office joke at the courthouse. 7. A driver said, "I'm not that drunk. I've driven home drunk way worse than this before." The officer thanked him for confessing to multiple previous DUI incidents. He realized too late what he'd admitted to on recording. His confession about previous drunk driving made his current charge significantly worse. He was arrested and his statement was used as evidence of habitual drunk driving. The prosecutor used his admission to argue for maximum sentencing. His insurance company dropped him after hearing about multiple drunk driving instances. He lost his license for 2 years because of his own big mouth. 8. A woman told the officer, "You can't arrest me. I have dinner reservations at 8." The officer explained that arrests don't work around personal social schedules. She insisted her plans were more important than his job responsibilities. She was arrested and missed her reservation completely. Her priorities didn't impress the judge who heard the case. Her date was left waiting at the restaurant for an hour. She tried to sue the police for the cost of her missed reservation. The lawsuit was dismissed and she had to pay court costs. 9. A man said, "I'm a taxpayer, I pay your salary, you work for me." The officer replied, "Thanks for the contribution, now let me earn it by arresting you properly." The taxpayer argument never works, but people keep trying it anyway. He was handcuffed while still arguing about taxes and public employment. His contribution to police funding didn't prevent prosecution at all. In court, the judge noted that everyone pays taxes, including criminals. His taxpayer status gave him zero special privileges. He was convicted like any non-tax-paying defendant would have been. 10. A driver caught speeding said everyone else was going this fast too. The officer explained he pulled over the person he caught, which was him. He demanded the officer catch everyone or no one for fairness. That's not how traffic enforcement works and never has been. His complaint about fairness didn't dismiss the ticket. He argued the selective enforcement was discrimination. The judge explained that all enforcement is selective by nature. His traffic school instructor used him as an example of bad excuses. 11. A woman told the officer, "This is harassment. I'm going to sue you personally." The officer explained lawful arrests aren't harassment under any definition. She threatened lawsuits throughout the entire booking process loudly. Her lawyer later explained she had no case for harassment whatsoever. The harassment claims went nowhere and were dismissed. She tried to file complaints with every oversight agency possible. Every complaint was rejected as frivolous. She wasted months on complaints instead of dealing with her actual charges. Her obsession with the harassment claim hurt her real defense. 12. A man said, "I wasn't stealing, I was just taking it without paying first." The officer thanked him for defining theft perfectly in his own words. He argued there's a fundamental difference between stealing and unauthorized taking. His semantic argument didn't prevent shoplifting charges. His own words convicted him faster than any evidence could. The prosecutor didn't even need to present evidence beyond his admission. In court, his quote was played, and the judge immediately found him guilty. His attorney facepalmed during the recording playback. He received maximum sentencing for being so obviously guilty. 13. A driver told the officer, "I only ran the red light because I was late for work." The officer explained traffic laws apply regardless of personal schedule. She seemed genuinely confused that being late wasn't a valid legal excuse. She argued emergencies should allow traffic violations. Being late for work isn't an emergency under any legal definition. Her employer confirmed she was late regularly and this wasn't special. The judge noted that everyone has places to be on time. Her excuse was so common the court had a form response for it. 14. A man said, "You're violating my constitutional rights by arresting me for this." The officer explained lawful arrests are constitutional and proper. He began reciting incorrect interpretations of the Constitution he'd memorized. His legal understanding came entirely from social media posts and memes. The judge was not impressed with his constitutional analysis at all. He represented himself in court and quoted the wrong amendments. His legal arguments were so bad the judge offered him a public defender. He refused and was convicted using his own terrible defense. 15. A woman caught shoplifting said, "I forgot to pay. It was an honest accident." The officer pointed out the items hidden in her purse, coat, and waistband. She insisted she accidentally concealed multiple items in multiple locations. Her forgetting excuse didn't explain the deliberate hiding of merchandise. She was arrested for intentional theft with clear premeditation. Store cameras showed her looking around before concealing each item. Her accident involved 15 separate items in 6 hiding spots. The jury deliberated for less than 10 minutes before convicting her. Her pattern of forgetting was clearly intentional theft. 16. A driver said, "I wasn't texting, I was just looking at my phone." The officer explained that's literally what texting and distracted driving means. He argued looking at the phone isn't the same as actively using it. His distinction without a difference didn't help his case at all. He was cited for distracted driving regardless of his semantic games. Phone records showed he was actively texting during the stop. His lie made the citation worse and prevented any leniency. The judge added extra fines for lying to the officer. His insurance rates increased substantially from the distracted driving ticket. 17. A man told the officer, "You must have nothing better to do than bother innocent people." The officer explained he was bothering a guilty person currently, not an innocent one. The "nothing better to do" comment is always popular with actual offenders. His commentary on police priorities didn't dismiss any charges. He was arrested while complaining about police efficiency and resource allocation. In court, his comment about innocence was contrasted with his obvious guilt. The prosecutor noted that investigating crimes is exactly what officers should do. His complaint made him seem more guilty by protesting innocence. The jury didn't appreciate his attitude toward law enforcement. 18. A woman said, "I can't go to jail. I have a hair appointment tomorrow afternoon." The officer explained jail doesn't reschedule for salon visits or personal appointments. She genuinely seemed to think her appointment was relevant to arrest decisions. She asked if she could go to jail after her hair was done. Her priorities confused everyone involved in the arrest and booking. She called her salon from jail to reschedule her highlights. Her cellmates mocked her for days about the hair appointment excuse. The judge mentioned the comment while denying bail. Her priority list became evidence of poor judgment and flight risk. 19. A driver caught speeding said, "I was testing my new car's speed capabilities." The officer thanked him for admitting to reckless driving in addition to speeding. He didn't understand how testing speed on public roads was illegal. His car testing excuse made the violation worse and added charges. He received multiple citations for speeding and reckless endangerment. His insurance company classified him as high risk after the admission. His new car insurance rates tripled from his own stupid statement. The dealership used his case as an example of what not to do. His car testing cost him thousands in increased insurance and fines. 20. A man told the officer, "I'm too drunk to go to jail right now." The officer explained that's exactly why he was going to jail immediately. He argued he needed to sober up first at home comfortably. His intoxication was the reason for arrest, not a defense against it. He was taken to jail immediately for public intoxication. In court, his statement was used to prove he knew he was drunk. His admission of intoxication sealed his conviction without any doubt. He was ordered to attend alcohol education classes. His drinking problem was clearly established by his own words. 21. A woman said, "I didn't think the speed limit applied to this road." The officer showed her the multiple posted speed limit signs. She claimed she didn't see any of them. Her selective blindness didn't excuse the speeding. She received a ticket and an eye exam recommendation. 22. A driver told the officer, "My GPS told me to go that way on the one-way street." The officer explained GPS doesn't override traffic laws. He insisted technology should be trusted over signs. His GPS defense didn't prevent the citation. He was told to update his maps. 23. A man said, "I only hit him a little bit, it's not assault." The officer explained any unwanted physical contact is assault. He seemed confused that hitting people is illegal. His minimizing the violence didn't help his case. He was arrested for assault. 24. A woman told the officer, "You're being racist," despite being the same race as the officer. The officer pointed out they shared the same ethnicity. She insisted it was still discrimination somehow. Her baseless accusation undermined her credibility. She was arrested for the actual crime committed. 25. A driver said, "I'm a better driver drunk than most people sober." The officer thanked him for another DUI confession. He genuinely believed his drunk driving skills were superior. His overconfidence didn't prevent arrest. His statement was used as evidence of recklessness. 26. A man told the officer, "I'm recording this and putting it on social media." The officer said, "Great, you're recording your own arrest." The threat of posting arrest footage never intimidates police. His video evidence helped the prosecution. He posted his own incriminating evidence online. 27. A woman said, "I'm pregnant. You can't arrest pregnant women." The officer explained pregnancy doesn't grant immunity from law. She seemed genuinely shocked that pregnant women can be arrested. Her condition didn't excuse the crime committed. She was arrested and given appropriate care. 28. A driver told the officer, "I didn't stop because I didn't see your lights." The officer's car had been following with lights and sirens for 2 miles. He claimed he was focused on the road ahead. His failure to notice emergency lights made things worse. He was cited for the original offense plus evading. 29. A man said, "It's not illegal if you don't get caught." The officer explained he did get caught, making it illegal. He seemed confused by the logic of his own statement. His philosophy on law didn't prevent charges. He was arrested while pondering detection theory. 30. A woman told the officer, "I'm calling my lawyer right now." The officer said, "Great, they can meet you at the station." The immediate lawyer threat doesn't stop arrests. She called her lawyer, who told her to stop talking. Her lawyer arrived and confirmed she'd already said too much. 31. A driver said, "I was only going 10 over, that's the grace zone." The officer explained there's no official grace zone for speeding. He argued everyone knows about the unwritten speeding rule. His made-up traffic law didn't convince anyone. He received a ticket for the actual speed limit violation. 32. A man told the officer this is entrapment. The officer explained he clearly didn't know what entrapment means. He'd committed the crime entirely on his own initiative. His misuse of legal terminology didn't help. He was arrested and entrapment wasn't a defense. 33. A woman said, "I have anxiety. I can't be arrested." The officer explained anxiety doesn't exempt someone from law. She insisted her mental health created legal immunity. Her medical condition didn't excuse the crime. She was arrested with appropriate mental health considerations. 34. A driver told the officer, "I learned to drive in another country where this is legal." The officer explained he's currently in America with American laws. He continued describing traffic laws from his home country. His international driving experience didn't apply here. He was cited for violating local traffic laws. 35. A man said, "I'm a sovereign citizen. Your laws don't apply to me." The officer explained sovereign citizen arguments never work in court. He began reciting incomprehensible pseudo-legal nonsense. His sovereign citizen status wasn't recognized by actual law. He was arrested and his defense failed in court. 36. A woman told the officer, "I have a medical marijuana card," while holding cocaine. The officer explained marijuana cards don't cover cocaine. She seemed genuinely confused about what her card allowed. Her medical authorization didn't extend to illegal drugs. She was arrested for cocaine possession. 37. A driver said, "I'm on my way to court. I can't be late." The officer explained he'd definitely be late now. He argued the judge would understand the police delay. His court excuse didn't prevent the traffic stop. He was very late to court with a new citation. 38. A man told the officer, "My friend said this was legal." The officer asked if his friend was a lawyer. He admitted his friend had no legal expertise whatsoever. His friend's opinion didn't constitute legal advice. He was arrested and learned to get better friends. 39. A woman said, "I was just borrowing it without asking." The officer explained that's the definition of stealing. She insisted borrowing and stealing were different things. Her semantic argument didn't change the theft charge. She was arrested for taking things without permission. 40. A driver told the officer, "I have diplomatic immunity," despite having no diplomatic credentials. The officer asked to see diplomatic documentation. He couldn't produce any because he wasn't a diplomat. His fake immunity claim added lying to police. He was arrested for the original offense plus false statements. 41. A man said, "I can't breathe," while actively talking and resisting. The officer explained if he could talk, he could breathe. He continued the claim while fighting with officers. His false medical emergency claim delayed real medical attention. He was arrested after medical evaluation showed he was fine. 42. A woman told the officer, "This is illegal search and seizure." The officer explained he had probable cause and consent. She had voluntarily opened her bag when asked. Her Fourth Amendment argument didn't apply to consensual searches. She was arrested with legally obtained evidence. 43. A driver said, "I can't afford a ticket right now." The officer explained financial status doesn't determine citations. He offered to pay cash right now for dismissal. His attempted bribery made the situation much worse. He was arrested for both speeding and attempted bribery. 44. A man told the officer, "You're just trying to meet your quota." The officer explained ticket quotas are illegal and don't exist. He insisted all police have secret monthly arrest targets. His conspiracy theory didn't prevent his arrest. He was processed while discussing quota myths. 45. A woman said, "I'm going to have your badge for this." The officer explained lawful arrests don't cost badges. She threatened to report him to everyone from the mayor to the president. Her threats of consequences never materialized. She was arrested and he kept his badge. 46. A driver told the officer, "I wasn't speeding, my speedometer must be broken." The officer explained that doesn't make speeding legal. He argued he couldn't control what his car told him. His broken equipment excuse didn't work. He was cited and told to fix his speedometer. 47. A man said, "You can't prove anything." The officer showed him the video evidence. He claimed video can be faked and isn't reliable. His denial despite clear evidence didn't help. He was convicted using the video he claimed didn't prove anything. 48. A woman told the officer, "I was going with the flow of traffic." The officer explained that's not a legal defense for speeding. She insisted matching traffic speed should be allowed. Her flow of traffic excuse is common and never works. She received a ticket like everyone else who uses that excuse. 49. A driver said, "Don't you have real criminals to catch?" The officer explained he was catching a real criminal currently. The bigger fish argument is popular but ineffective. His suggestion about police priorities didn't prevent citation. He was processed while giving unsolicited law enforcement advice. 50. A man told the officer, "I'm going to complain about this." The officer gave him the complaint department's phone number. He seemed surprised the officer wasn't intimidated by complaints. His threat of reporting the arrest didn't stop it. He was arrested and never filed a complaint. 51. A woman said, "I only shoplifted because the prices are too high." The officer explained theft isn't justified by pricing disagreement. She argued stores charge too much for necessities. Her economic philosophy didn't excuse stealing. She was arrested and given information about assistance programs. 52. A driver told the officer, "I was barely over the line, that's not really running the light." The officer explained that any part of the car past the line counts. He argued there should be a grace zone for red lights. His partial violation theory didn't dismiss the citation. He was ticketed for running the red light. 53. A man said, "The drugs aren't mine, I'm just holding them for a friend." The officer explained possession is possession regardless of ownership. He insisted he was doing a favor and shouldn't be charged. His helpful drug holding didn't prevent arrest. He was charged with possession and learned to choose better favors. 54. A woman told the officer, "I'm too pretty to go to jail." The officer explained attractiveness isn't a legal defense. She genuinely seemed to believe her looks created immunity. Her appearance-based argument didn't prevent arrest. She was booked like everyone else regardless of looks. 55. A driver said, "I was rushing to the hospital despite driving away from all hospitals." The officer checked his route and confirmed the lie. He then changed his story to a different emergency. His fake medical emergency excuse made things worse. He was cited for both speeding and lying to police. 56. A man told the officer, "You're infringing on my freedom." The officer explained laws and consequences are part of living in society. He delivered a speech about personal liberty and tyranny. His political philosophy didn't prevent arrest. He was taken to jail while discussing freedom. 57. A woman said, "I didn't know I was driving on a suspended license." The officer explained she'd received multiple suspension notices. She claimed she never checks her mail. Her willful ignorance didn't excuse driving illegally. She was arrested for driving on suspended license. 58. A driver told the officer, "I've been drinking, but I'm not drunk." The officer explained any amount of drinking affects driving. He insisted he knew his body and his limit. His self-assessment didn't match the breathalyzer results. He was arrested for DUI despite his confident claims. 59. A man said, "This is a violation of my civil rights." The officer asked which specific right was being violated. He couldn't name any actual constitutional provision. His vague civil rights claim had no legal basis. He was arrested after the civics lesson. 60. A woman told the officer, "I'm a psychology major. I know you're on a power trip." The officer explained he was doing his job, not seeking power. Her amateur psychological analysis didn't impress anyone. Her psychology degree didn't prevent her arrest. She was processed while diagnosing everyone. 61. A driver said, "I didn't see the stop sign." The officer pointed to the large reflective stop sign. He claimed it was hidden by tree branches. The clearly visible sign contradicted his story. He was cited for running the stop sign he didn't see. 62. A man told the officer, "I'm recording this for my lawyer." The officer said, "Good, they'll see your confession." He'd already admitted to multiple crimes on his recording. His own evidence documented his criminal activity. His recording was used against him in court. 63. A woman said, "I have a good reason for what I did." The officer asked what that reason was. She explained a completely unreasonable justification. Her good reason actually made the crime seem worse. She was arrested and her reason was used against her. 64. A driver told the officer, "I'm late for work. Can't you let me go?" The officer explained being late doesn't excuse traffic violations. He offered to write a note to his boss explaining the delay. His work excuse didn't prevent the citation. He was very late after arguing about being late. 65. A man said, "You're just harassing me because of my car, cautious clothes, cautious appearance." The officer explained he was stopping him because of the crime he witnessed. The victim harassment claim didn't match the actual circumstances. His discrimination accusation didn't prevent arrest. He was processed for the actual offense committed. 66. A woman told the officer, "I didn't think that applied in this parking lot." The officer explained that laws apply everywhere, including parking lots. She seemed genuinely surprised that private property has rules. Her geographic confusion about law didn't help. She was cited for the parking lot violation. 67. A driver said, "I know my rights," followed by listing several things that aren't actually rights. The officer corrected his legal misunderstandings one by one. He'd learned constitutional law from social media memes. His confident, incorrect legal knowledge didn't prevent citation. He was ticketed while being educated on actual rights. 68. A man told the officer, "I have PTSD, you're triggering me." The officer took the claim seriously and called medical services. He admitted he didn't actually have PTSD, just anxiety about arrest. His false medical claim wasted resources. He was arrested after medical evaluation. 69. A woman said, "I'm a single mother, you're taking me away from my kids." The officer explained childcare concerns don't excuse crimes. She insisted single parents should be immune from arrest. Her parental status didn't prevent prosecution. She was arrested and her children were placed with emergency contacts. 70. A driver told the officer, "Everyone speeds on this road, it's a speed trap." The officer explained enforcement doesn't make a location a speed trap. He argued the speed limit should be higher because of speeding. His speed trap theory didn't dismiss the citation. He was ticketed for speeding regardless of what others do. 71. A man said, "I'm going to call the news about this." The officer offered to wait while he called. He expected the threat of media attention to change things. Local news wasn't interested in routine arrests. He was processed while threatening media exposure. 72. A woman told the officer, "You can't talk to me without my lawyer present." The officer stopped asking questions immediately. She then continued volunteering incriminating information unprompted. Her lawyer request didn't stop her from talking herself into charges. She incriminated herself despite invoking counsel. 73. A driver said, "I wasn't texting, I was using GPS." The officer explained both are distracted driving violations. He argued navigation apps shouldn't count as phone use. His distinction between apps didn't matter legally. He was cited for distracted driving regardless of which app. 74. A man told the officer this is police brutality during a gentle handcuffing. The officer's body camera showed appropriate and careful handling. He continued claiming brutality despite no force being used. His false brutality claim undermined legitimate cases. He was arrested with video evidence of proper procedure. 75. A woman said, "I have a prescription for these," while holding pills in someone else's name. The officer explained prescription drugs must be in the prescribed person's possession. She argued sharing medications between family members is normal. Her pill sharing didn't justify illegal possession. She was arrested for possessing someone else's controlled substance. 76. A driver told the officer, "I'm not the one who should be pulled over." The officer explained he witnessed him committing the violation. He pointed at random other cars and accused them of worse driving. His deflection to other drivers didn't work. He was cited for his own violation. 77. A man said, "You pulled me over because of my political bumper stickers." The officer explained he pulled him over for expired registration. He insisted it was political persecution. His bumper stickers weren't mentioned until he brought them up. He was cited for the expired tags, not his politics. 78. A woman told the officer, "I'm claustrophobic, I can't be in a police car." The officer explained she'd just been driving in her own car. She claimed police cars are different and trigger her condition. Her selective claustrophobia didn't prevent transport. She managed the police car ride without incident. 79. A driver said, "I thought the speed limit was a suggestion." The officer explained speed limits are laws, not suggestions. He argued many traffic rules seem optional. His misunderstanding of mandatory versus advisory didn't help. He was educated on traffic law while receiving a citation. 80. A man told the officer, "I'll fight this in court and win." The officer said that's his right to do so. He described his foolproof legal strategy involving YouTube videos. His confidence didn't match his actual legal knowledge. He lost in court exactly as predicted. 81. A woman said, "I have a doctor's note that says I can't be arrested." The officer asked to see this magical note. She couldn't produce any such documentation. Her fictional doctor's note claim was absurd. She was arrested despite her imaginary medical exemption. 82. A driver told the officer, "My uncle is a cop in another state." The officer said that's nice but irrelevant. He expected his distant law enforcement connection to matter. His uncle's profession didn't influence anything. He was cited while explaining his family tree. 83. A man said, "I'm going to sue you personally for this." The officer explained qualified immunity for lawful actions. He threatened massive personal lawsuits. His legal threats never materialized into actual filing. He was arrested and no lawsuit was ever filed. 84. A woman told the officer this is discrimination against women. The officer noted his female partner had made the arrest. She insisted it was still somehow gender discrimination. Her discrimination claim made no sense given the circumstances. She was arrested by the female officer she claimed was discriminating. 85. A driver said, "I have diplomatic plates," while driving a car with regular plates. The officer pointed to the standard plates on his vehicle. He insisted they were special diplomatic plates. His regular license plates contradicted his claim. He was cited for the violation plus lying to police. 86. A man told the officer, "You're violating the Geneva Convention." The officer explained the Geneva Convention doesn't apply to traffic stops. He'd confused international warfare laws with local ordinances. His treaty law argument was completely misapplied. He was arrested while receiving a history lesson. 87. A woman said, "I'm allergic to handcuffs." The officer had never heard of handcuff allergies. She couldn't explain what material she was supposedly allergic to. Her creative medical excuse didn't prevent handcuffing. She had no reaction to the handcuffs she was allergic to. 88. A driver told the officer, "I have connections, this will disappear." The officer said all connections are welcome to file complaints later. His vague influence threats didn't stop the citation. His mysterious connections never made anything disappear. He paid the ticket like everyone else. 89. A man said, "I'm a law student. I know you're wrong about this." The officer had 20 years of experience versus his 1 semester. He quoted case law that didn't apply to the situation. His incomplete legal education didn't prevent arrest. His criminal law professor later confirmed he was completely wrong. 90. A woman told the officer, "I'll have your job for this arrest." The officer explained lawful arrests don't result in termination. She listed everyone she'd report him to, from internal affairs to the governor. Her employment threats didn't materialize. He kept his job, and she got a conviction. 91. A driver said, "The law is unconstitutional and I don't have to follow it." The officer explained he doesn't get to determine constitutionality. He insisted individual interpretation of the Constitution is valid. His personal constitutional review didn't excuse the violation. He was cited and told courts decide constitutionality. 92. A man told the officer, "I'm having a bad day, can't you just let this go?" The officer explained bad days don't excuse crimes. He detailed all his problems, expecting sympathy to dismiss charges. His difficult day didn't prevent arrest. He was processed while describing his bad luck. 93. A woman said, "I'm on probation, you can't arrest me again." The officer explained probation doesn't prevent new arrests. She seemed genuinely confused that you can be arrested while on probation. Her probation status actually made things worse. She was arrested and violated probation simultaneously. 94. A driver told the officer, "I was barely speeding, that shouldn't count." The officer explained any speeding is a violation. He argued small speeding amounts should be ignored. His under-the-radar theory wasn't law. He was cited for the exact speed over the limit. 95. A man said, "You're supposed to give warnings, not tickets." The officer explained the warnings are discretionary, not required. He insisted he deserved a warning for his first offense that month. His expectation of warnings didn't create an obligation. He received a ticket instead of the warning he demanded. 96. A woman told the officer, "I have jury duty next week, I can't be arrested now." The officer explained arrests don't coordinate with jury schedules. She insisted she was needed for civic duty. Her jury summons didn't prevent arrest. She missed jury duty due to being in custody. 97. A driver said, "My dash cam will prove I'm innocent," before reviewing his own footage. The officer watched as the dash cam showed the violation clearly. He stopped talking after seeing his own evidence. His confidence in exonerating video backfired. He was cited using his own dash cam footage. 98. A man told the officer, "I'm friends with the police chief," who he'd never met. The officer offered to call the chief to verify. He quickly changed his story to knowing the chief's cousin. His fake law enforcement friendship didn't help. He was arrested and the chief confirmed they'd never met. 99. A woman said, "I didn't see any signs, despite driving past 12 warning signs." The officer drove her back to count all the posted signs together. She claimed they weren't visible enough to notice. The abundance of signage contradicted her claim. She was cited for the violation she claimed was unposted. 100. A driver told the officer, "This is a waste of taxpayer money." The officer explained enforcing traffic laws is literally his job. He delivered a lecture on appropriate use of police resources. His fiscal policy opinions didn't prevent the citation. He was ticketed while discussing municipal budgets. 101. And finally, a man said, "I'm not saying anything without my lawyer," then immediately confessed to everything. The officer hadn't even asked any questions yet. He invoked his Fifth Amendment right then, voluntarily waived it instantly. His lawyer arrived to find he'd already given a complete confession. The attorney just shook his head at the self-incrimination. His client had done the prosecutor's entire job for them. Every detail of the crime was volunteered unprompted. The lawyer tried to suppress the statement, but it was completely voluntary. His right to silence was exercised for approximately 3 seconds. The confession couldn't be excluded because he chose to talk. His case went from defensible to hopeless in one conversation. The judge asked why he'd needed a lawyer after confessing completely. He explained he knew he had rights, just not how to use them. His understanding of legal protections didn't match his application of them. The lawyer had nothing to work with after the voluntary admission. His sentence was based entirely on his own unsolicited confession. The officer's report was simply a transcript of his monologue. Every element of the crime was admitted in his own words. His case became a training example of what not to do. His spectacular failure to remain silent became legendary in the department, proving that talking to police is almost always a terrible idea, demonstrating that silence is golden, especially during arrests, and revealing that the right to remain silent is worthless if you can't stop talking. These confessions prove that opening your mouth during a police encounter rarely improves your situation. The pattern shows that people consistently talk themselves into arrests that might have been avoided with silence. Nobody ever talked their way out of an arrest, but millions have talked themselves into worse charges. Subscribe if these stupid statements reminded you that when dealing with police, shut up and call your lawyer.